Saturday morning, November 5th. Hey, I got the date right this time. Awesome. Cool. They are heading into week 9 of the fantasy football season. I'm Josh Hudson, filling in for the one, the only Faith Enes as she still gets her life back together after Hurricane Ian. But we have Joe Zollo here as usual, co-hosting, and a couple of football guys. Yes, the actual site football guys. Alfredo Brown, Kevin Coleman. We're excited. Let's get into answering all of your start-sit questions for week 9.
You want to know who I hate? That's how we're starting the show. Do you want to know who I hate?
Probably me, because you always ask me to do this damn intro.
No.
Awesome.
The Chargers fucking medical staff. That's who I hate. That's who I hate right now. Absolutely despise. Welcome into Starts at Different Day. Josh is obviously here, and we have 2 new faces to at least this side of the show, Kevin and Alfredo. Gentlemen, welcome.
Appreciate you having me.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, this is Alfredo's first show in Club Fantasy, so this will be fun.
It is, yes.
I'm excited. I got my wristband. I got my hand stamped. I'm ready. I'm happy to be in the club.
Let's go. Yes, we love that. What stamp were we handing out today? I wasn't at the door, so
It's like, I don't know. It's like a teddy bear with holding a football. I don't know.
nice, perfect. Yeah,
we had to get creative this Saturday morning. I took some inspiration from Kevin's kids who woke up at before 5 this morning.
You're welcome. They were channeling their energy through you. See, it's because you're a Philly fan. This is what I get when this happens.
Well, the only undefeated team, and they play the Texans. Let's not like, oh my God, they beat a world beater this week. No, they play the Texans. So
we have wins over the second and third seed in the NFC right now, so I don't want to hear it.
The NFC is a pile of shit right now. So I'm just hey, you know what? You can't choose who you play. How about that?
Exactly.
You can't choose who you play. You can only choose the hand that's dealt to you, which is sadly what fantasy football is. I'm gonna run through some injuries here, folks. If you are mad at anything, Keenan Allen, then you just blurt it out and tell me if you're angry about it. But as we wait for some of these questions to come in, everyone here that joins, you guys all know the drill. Drop your questions in there, and then of course you guys drive the show. We don't literally have any questions or come prepared for anything except injuries to tell you. So at the quarterback position, 2 irrelevant guys you're probably not starting. Derek Carr and Ryan Tannehill are both questionable. If Tannehill's out, that just means the Chiefs win by 70 instead of 60 on Sunday Night Football. Running backs, Jonathan Taylor's out. Pain, absolute pain with a capital P. Chuba Hubbard is out, so Deontay Foreman once again will get every single carry on Sunday. J.D. McKissick is also out. Helps Antonio Gibson a little bit. No one's really stealing his catches. DeAndre Swift, James Conner, Damian Harris, Gus Edwards, Mark Ingram, all questionable. So biggest name in that bunch, DeAndre Swift, Gus Edwards, some of you might have also picked up later in life at this point, so he might be some guy to look out for. At the receivers, it's just all painful. Jamar Chase, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Jahan Dotson, Corey Davis. Why do we have to throw him in there? Devontae Parker, Marquise Goodwin, Michael Thomas, Rashad Bateman, who's on IR for the season, folks. He's not just out, he is out. And Russell Gage, all out for this week. Doubtful, not playing, Josh Reynolds. Ryan always brings up the stat. No one has played on the doubtful tag since they changed the doubtful tag. It's like 0 for 279 at this point. So if Josh Reynolds plays, you're the luckiest person on the face of the planet. Devontae Adams.
Are you, though? It is Josh Reynolds. Let's be honest.
Jared Goff apparently has a mini chubby for him. So he's the number 2 option in that offense. It's very strange, but he is. Devontae Adams, Allen Lazard, Demarcus Robinson, DeAndre Carter, Jarvis Landry, Christian Watson, Van Jefferson, all questionable. So just to reiterate, DeAndre Carter is questionable. The Chargers will go into their game with Josh Palmer as their 1. And if anybody in the world after Jalen Guyton can name me the 3rd receiver on that depth chart currently, if DeAndre Carter sits for the Chargers, I'd be impressed. Anybody? Because I literally don't know. Anyone?
It doesn't matter.
Sheesh.
It really doesn't.
It really doesn't.
It's Gerald
you're not
Everett,
starting him
it's
anyway.
Austin Eckler, and Josh Palmer. That is the offense this week.
Oh.
That's it.
I need DeAndre Carter to play. I had Keenan Allen out. I had Rashad Bateman out. I need DeAndre Carter. I picked up Deshaun Jackson. That's how desperate I am at this point. I am hoping for
These week 9 buys are ridiculous.
I am hoping for a Deshaun Jackson 75-yard touchdown. That is what I am holding out hope for, because it's inevitable.
Is that
right?
why you keep recommending Damiere Byrd every week, literally for that exact
Shut
same
the
reason?
fuck up. Damiere Byrd has a good matchup this week, and this is the first week I recommended him off of back-to-back weeks with touchdowns.
That's how you know he's going to go for nothing this week.
Damiere Byrd will score a touchdown this week, you asshat. Cameron Brate is out for the tight ends. Mark Andrews and Darren Waller both questionable. I think Andrews is trending more towards playing.
Yeah.
Last I heard, he was looking very suspect to play.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
I looked earlier in the week and they said he was feeling good. I picked up Isaiah Likely, not that, New Orleans is pretty good against the tight end. So I guess, how about that? If you have Isaiah Likely, do you like Isaiah Likely this week against New Orleans? I'll start with Alfredo. He started gently nodding his head.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, out of a bunch of injuries and bye weeks, I had to go pick up Isaiah Likely as kind of my insurance policy. So I like him in the sense that if you really don't have much else, start him. What's the worst that can happen? The tight end position is so bad. Taysom Hill is basically a top 7 tight end every week when we go and do the rankings. So it's just like, if you have anyone that has any semblance of a target share, a touchdown possibility, yeah, you got to start him. I think I have Isaiah Likely. Let me just check that. I think I've got him as like my tight end 14 on the week right now. And so we'll see how that goes as the week kind of shapes out.
Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what Fred talked about. I mean, if Andrew doesn't go, you plug him in. I think you're just hoping for a touchdown. A lot of these guys after the top 8 are touchdown dependent anyway. So like you're just hoping that they get in, and that's just kind of how you have to kind of play those guys. I mean, at this point in the season.
Yeah, I mean, with Bateman out, like if Andrews is also out, Likely is the number 1 target in that offense. So I don't love the matchup. Saints have been really good against tight ends this year. But it just at a certain point, it's like, you know what? Lamar's going to throw to him. So you just kind of have to hope that one lands in the end zone at that point. Chase the targets.
And for kickers, again, the Chargers medical staff, Dustin Hopkins, the kicker, is out. How are some of them even remotely healthy? They stabbed Tyrod Taylor 2 years ago, and now their number 1 wide receiver is out. What are we on now? 9 weeks with a hamstring injury, essentially. 9 weeks with a hamstring injury.
This has been the year for hamstrings.
Brian Robinson got shot.
But it wasn't a hamstring, so he's fine.
Did he get shot in the leg?
Yes.
Brian Robinson got shot, returned to football before Keenan Allen returned from a hamstring injury. Oh, wow. I hate the Chargers medical staff. Okay, first question coming in from Brooks, and it's a standard league, folks. Starting Terry McLaurin or Juju Smith-Schuster, Alfredo.
I'm leaning towards Terry McLaurin. It's just a little bit. I mean, both of them are good matchups. Like, I think both of them are very easily in that wide receiver 2 conversation this week. I think I have like maybe 2 or 3 spots in between them, but McLaurin's just had such a nice little bump up with Taylor Heinecke starting at quarterback now. And I mean, it's another easy matchup going against the Minnesota Vikings, who they kind of provide you with that matchup that you want, a team that can score points, yet the defense still isn't very good. So it lends to some good wide receiver production. So I will lean Terry McLaurin in this, just because that matchup of Kansas City versus Tennessee could get out of hand real fast, and Kansas City may not have to pass once they get into the second half.
Kevin.
Yeah, no, so just looking at the numbers, like Tennessee's given up 26.0 fantasy points per game in non-PPR. And Minnesota's down there, 24. They're very close. But because it's non-PPR, I would trust McLaurin to get into the end zone more than Juju in this offense, especially with, I don't know what Tony's going to do. Speaking of guys that we don't know what anything's going to do. Like, I don't know if they're going to get him more involved and try to get him in just because they just traded for him. We've seen that with teams and stuff. So I think McLaurin is more of my like a safer play. But I take him. He's my wide receiver 13 this week, so he's up there for me.
Josh.
Yeah, I'm going to side with McLaurin here, and most of it's just for my unnatural hate of Juju. But you're talking about a guy that is the unquestioned wide receiver 1 on his offense versus the second target really behind Kelsey and also a really good offense. I mean, as you know, Alfredo and Kevin said, the good matchups all the way around, but give me the guy that is, I know, going to be the focal point of the passing attack, and that's McLaurin.
It's Terry McLaurin, and I don't think it's personally close. Taylor Heinecke is a one-trick pony kind of guy to look at, and he is only looking at Terry McLaurin. So I love Terry McLaurin this week. I love him the rest of the season because no shot in hell Carson Wentz is getting his job back. Taylor Heineke's put up the same amount of wins Carson Wentz did in 7 weeks, and Heineke's done it in 2. So I think McLaurin's fantastic rest of the season. He's probably inside the top 15 or 16 the rest of the season. I think Washington's going to have to play from behind almost every single time. Their running game isn't good enough, and their defense I don't think is all around good enough. So, and to Alfredo's point, the Kansas City Chiefs game is going to be 31-0, 7 minutes into the game. Tennessee can't defend. They don't have a passing attack. And if I'm Kansas City, I am putting 11 people in the box and just leaving the outside receivers literally by themselves. They're going.
We don't even know who's starting at quarterback for Tennessee at this point.
If it's Malik Willis, they might throw the football 7 times. You just load the box up.
Yeah, Vrabel looks visibly upset the moment that Malik Willis drops back to throw the football. How do you expect the kid to grow as a quarterback in this league if he's not throwing the football? Baffling.
Remember when he was going to go in the top 10 of the NFL draft? Remember when everybody was saying that? That was funny. That was really funny. A kid from Liberty fucking University. First round draft pick. No, folks. Not even close. Elixirs. Drop B-Rob and pick up, I'm going to guess, Dearness Johnson? There's no way Deontay Johnson is on the waiver wire, right?
I mean, he hasn't exactly had a great season. I mean, he's third in the NFL in targets, but he hasn't turned those into much.
He's still top 36. Okay, yeah, let's say Elixirs will comment, but Deontay or Garrett Wilson. His other running backs are Kamara, Etienne, Mixon. He needs receivers pretty bad. It's a standard. He obviously does not need Brian Robinson with the mix of 3 that he has right there. Let's go. Let's assume Deontay Johnson or Garrett Wilson. Alfredo.
Yeah, I want absolutely 0 part of Garrett Wilson. I love the talent. And I think the kid is great. I just want no part of that Jets offense. You can, call me a Miami Dolphins fan and a Jets hater, whatever you want. But we've just seen it week after week after week. It doesn't matter which wide receivers in the field. It doesn't matter what type of offense they're running. Zach Wilson has just not been good for that offense. And without Breece Hall, this team has absolutely 0 offensive identity. If I had to go in a vacuum here between one of these two, it's Deontay Johnson. But man, I mean, it seems weird that we're having this conversation. Deontay Johnson to me is so much better fantasy wise over Brian Robinson, Garrett Wilson. It's got to be Deontay.
Kevin.
Yeah, I'm kind of a Garrett Wilson stan, as Josh knows. I just think I think it's Deontay just because of the targets, because you're going to get the targets there, and you're not when you look at the Jets offense. I mean, he had 7 targets last game and he caught 6 balls for Garrett Wilson, but just in standard leagues, I just think he's only put up 2 games over 10 fantasy points in standard leagues this year, Garrett. Whereas Deontay, I do think that they can get him more involved. I mean, that offense is a mess too. So let's be honest. When you're looking at what they've been able to do, but just game log wise, 76 targets already. I'm just going to lean there and just hope that he gets in the end zone.
Josh. Actually, I know your answer. I don't even need to ask you.
No, I think Deontay is way more valuable in PPR leagues because the yardage numbers are not there at all. And so if he's not scoring touchdowns, they're screwed. And I don't really see the end zone targets favoring Deontay here. Garrett Wilson gets targeted in the red zone, and I know a lot of that is from the time with Joe Flacco. But without Breece Hall, Alfredo, you mentioned it. They don't have an offensive identity. So what does that mean? They're playing catch up late in games, and that's exactly what happened last week against the Patriots. It's the same thing is going to happen this week against the Bills. they're going to throw the football, and Garrett Wilson's going to be able to sit in the zone, catch as much as he needs to, and do with it what he will. And I think that ultimately favors him in standard leagues going forward, as much as it pains my Deontay Johnson heart to say.
Well, Deontay's on a bye this week, so I feel like you probably shouldn't pick him up. You should just pick up Garrett Wilson if you need a receiver.
That was the other point too, yeah.
So there's your answer this week. I'm with Alfredo. I'm a Patriots fan. I got to watch the Jets walk out there like 11 blind elephants and play football. It was fantastic. Garrett Wilson had 6 catches against arguably 2 of the bottom 10 cornerbacks in the NFL in Miles Bryant and Jalen Mills. They are terrible. Anytime he was matched up on Jack Jones or Jonathan Jones, he didn't see lickety split. So that is a worry. Zach Wilson sees ghosts just like his former Sam Darnold. I like Deontay Johnson more because I think they're more of a gunslinger mentality with Kenny Pickett. They also can't run the football. I think New York has somewhat of an identity on the ground to run the football with Carter and James Robinson, and their offensive line's a little better. Yes, they lost Elijah Vera Tucker, but Pittsburgh hasn't lost anybody, and they still fucking blow running the football. So, to me, I don't know if I want to say talent because Garrett Wilson is ridiculously talented, but I feel Pittsburgh just gives you a better opportunity, and I feel like
at the first overall pick, I agree.
I don't know. I just feel like they give you a better opportunity. I don't like either option in a standard. That's the issue.
Yeah,
ahead,
I don't know that I really like any of these guys, but if you kind of had to pick the lesser of the 3 evils, it almost feels like Deontay kind of has to give you the best potential. The Pittsburgh Steelers have had a really tough schedule so far. Kenny Pickett, genuine thought tells you he should be getting better as the season goes on, not worse. Now with Chase Claypool getting shipped out of town, there's got to be at least 1 or 2 extra targets heading Deontay Johnson's way. So it almost kind of becomes a thing of like Deontay's going to give you the highest ceiling there, and maybe now he's also kind of giving you the highest floor. So that's why I'm leaning Deontay in that instance.
Okay, I'm going to throw some names just because, and again, I don't know if this is accurate for Elixir's thing, but I just looked it up just to see top waiver wire picks this week or to see if they're even available. Because this is interesting. Would you rather either of those 2 guys, or this blows my mind, he's even on here. I'm not even going to say Darnell Mooney's on this list. I can't imagine he is available in that league, but Deontay's also available. Would anybody rather Darnell Mooney over those 2? You just blurt it out. Or just all nod left to north and south, or east and west? No, right? Like way less upside. No. So here's an interesting one because I do think he is probably available. Romeo Doubs, Deontay Johnson, Garrett Wilson. Does Doubs swing the needle at all?
No,
Right?
I think Dobbs' value is totally contingent on whether or not Alan Lazard plays. And even then, like we saw, like it's not that great. So yeah, I'd rather lean Deontay.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at a lot of these other, like Marquez Valdes-Scantling has some upside, but I mean, it's maybe 2 catches a game. Like it's the only reason I say that, Alfredo, is because he's the dude running 50 yards down the field every play. So there's your opportunity for touchdown.
I don't want
Your other guys are more PPR guys. Wan'Dale Robinson, Kadarius Toney, we have no idea how he's going to play. Michael Gallup has just been an utter disappointment basically since his rookie year. Alec Pierce, you don't know how that offense is going to look with Ellinger. Treylon Burks is on IR. Donovan Peoples-Jones, no. Maybe
the fact that Deontay Johnson and Garrett Wilson are even on waivers in a standard league is still kind of shocking to me. But
yeah, I
get it. I get it. They haven't exactly lit the world on fire, so you gotta pick up people, especially if the benches are short too. So
yeah. To Carrington, Tyler Algier or James Robinson. Cordell Patterson was activated. Is he officially playing?
They have not said he is playing yet.
Okay.
There's still time, obviously. But
let's go on the assumption he's not, because this obviously makes it more intriguing if he's not playing. Alfredo, who are you going with?
Honestly, I think even going forward, even if Cordero does start playing, I'm going to go with Tyler Algier over James Robinson. Robinson just simply has not looked good. I understand that Jets offense was good for Breece Hall, but I mean, we're not going to see the Jets just all of a sudden give a ton of carries to James Robinson. Tyler Algier at least still has a shot to be the top running back in that offense. And we have seen week in and week out that Arthur Smith refuses to throw the football a lot. He wants to run the ball as much as he can. And this is a team that they're kind of finding their stride. Like, we all hate Arthur Smith for not getting the ball to Drake London and Kyle Pitts enough, but like, they're winning games and they're competitive and they're controlling the clock by running the ball. So yeah, I think not only this week, but probably the rest of the season, I'm taking Tyler Algier over James Robinson, regardless of the format.
Kevin.
Yeah, I'm just going to go based on matchup real quick. I mean, the Chargers are the second worst team against running backs. 29.2 fantasy points per game PPR, and the Bills are top 5. So I'll just swing with Algier, especially because I don't know, like Alfredo talked about with Robinson, I don't know what the hell that looks like. So if we know for sure Patterson's not there, we know the volume is going to be for Algier. And this game is going to be weird because all the receivers are gone. Like, who knows where this game is going to go in terms of game script. But we know what Arthur Smith likes to do, and that's just run the football. So give me Algier.
Yeah, weren't they trailing like 90% of the game against Cincy, and they were still running the football?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Establish it, baby. Yeah, give me all the Tyler Algier. Like,
and you want to know what happens when you establish the run? Demir Bird 75-yard touchdown against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Exactly.
That's what happens. That's what happens. Did I pick him up in Scott Fish because I'm decimated with injuries and bye weeks? You bet your fucking ass I'm playing Demir Bird and Scott Fish this week. Yeah, I mean, straight matchup alone. Are the Jets even going to have the opportunity to run the football in that game? Talk about like the Chiefs-Titans. The Jets are probably going to be down pretty quickly in that game. And to both Alfredo, Kevin's point, we have no fucking clue how James Robinson is going to be used at all in that offense.
Didn't he only play like 9 snaps in last week's game? Something.
It's not surprising because it was his first week with the team.
Well, yeah, no, but I mean, they're still working him in, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, so I think if you see progression over this week, like if he gets more snaps, then he has a full bye week, plays New England the week after. You probably don't want to play him against New England. But after that, I mean, Chicago's been known to let up some games. Obviously, Tony Pollard. Minnesota, not the greatest defense in the world. They play Buffalo again. But 3 championship weeks are Detroit, Jacksonville, Seattle. Not exactly the best run defenses in the world. So, potential if they do work him in later in the season, but Algier, obviously, for right now and this week. Blurpy, great name, new name. What kind of wide receiver value can I get for trading Antonio Gibson? His running backs are stacked with Henry, Kamara, Cook, ETN. How? How? That doesn't make any sense. Who did you trade? His receivers are D-Hop, right. Amon-Ra, and Pittman. Oof. Who did you trade to get some of these guys? And he also has Antonio Gibson and Kenyon Drake. So those are his 5th and 6th running backs. I mean, Gibson now with McKissick out, I mean, this week, if you can get rid of him today and the trade goes through, that's great. Anybody have any thoughts on like what Gibson could potentially pull? Because I know some people either really like Gibson or really hate Gibson, and there's kind of no in between. So I'll start with Alfredo.
Well, one, I'd love to know what kind of format, like scoring format, this league is, aside from just being 2 flex. But I mean, we kind of see it. It's weird to give this a value, right? Because Antonio Gibson is kind of like a locked and loaded RB3 flex play, which is like, okay, when you go and you look at some of the wide receiver 3s, I'm sorry, I wish I could give a name. I just don't know like who you're going to get that's going to give you as much value. So I don't think that anyone's giving up a wide receiver 2. Like, I don't know that anyone's giving up like a Gabe Davis or maybe like a Christian Kirk or something, but this has to be someone that's like desperate for a running back. It's very contingent on your league and the scoring format and how badly someone needs a running back. And like you said, Antonio Gibson's such a divisive player. You either love him or hate him. There's no in between. And so I don't know if there's going to be a lot of trades that you can get the value that he's worth, that you're almost just better holding on to him until he has that blow up game.
It's PPR and he was offered Chris Olave.
Oh yeah, like in a second, man.
Go
like,
get Olave
in a second, right?
Get off of this YouTube channel and go make that trade. Oh, stay on the YouTube.
Well, hold on. Don't get off of the channel. Open a new tab.
Yes.
Keep the channel up.
What?
Yeah.
Stop shunning our viewers, Alfredo.
Yeah, I mean,
Take my money. Take my money.
Take my money.
Just do it. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh
Olave,
my gosh, yes.
that's a no-brainer.
1,000 billion%.
Olave's a no-brainer.
Wow.
I was gonna say, like, you could go after the team. I mean, obviously you were already offered it. So take Olave. But you could go after the team that might have Jonathan Taylor and is really bleeding potentially for like a potential high upside guy. So he said he's trying to cook up something to steal Amari from him, though. I mean, Amari Cooper's great. I'm not going to lie. I don't think Michael Thomas is going to play another snap in a Saints uniform just because he's a bitch. And Jarvis Landry is 1,000 years old, so he may not come back. I don't know about you guys. Olave over Amari Cooper, because in week 13, Amari Cooper's offense shifts with Deshaun Watson coming back. So we obviously assume Deshaun Watson's probably going to key in on him. But we also don't know how good Watson's going to look. We don't know who he's going to look at. I like Olave more than Amari Cooper. Does anyone disagree?
No.
Yeah,
No, I'm with you 100%.
Right now,
Olave, yeah. For me, Olave is kind of like that borderline top 15, top 16 wide receiver rest of the season. And I think we could see, I'm kind of waiting for that week that Amari Cooper returns like back to a pumpkin. Like, it's weird to see how good he's
Yes.
been. It's honestly, like, Joe, like, this is a very weird conversation that we have to have where we're like, man, when Deshaun Watson gets back, like, things could go downhill for this Jacoby Brissett led offense. Like, that's a weird conversation for us to have to be having, but it's actually true. So yeah. I don't know. I'd rather take Chris Olave, who has kind of shown he's quarterback proof. It doesn't matter who's slinging the ball. He's going to get the targets. He's going to get the deep ball. He's getting the touchdowns. Like, he is that offense right now.
A couple things to add in from Blurpy here. He traded Lockett, Terry McLaurin, and Foreman for Derrick Henry. Solid. So he started off the year with Kamara, Cook, and ETN. He says he likes Amari because he doesn't have a bye anymore, so his bye week's gone, and Olave has a bye week in week 14. So that's fair, but you also have the firepower to avoid that bye week with Amon-Ra, D-Hop, and your subsequent 4 running backs. I think you're okay, and I think you probably, like, if you need it, probably find a guy on the waiver wire maybe just for that week or something like that. From Brooks, this is an interesting one. Should he keep Darren Waller or pick up Taysom Hill or Tyler Higbee? I don't know if he's saying to. I feel like dropping Darren Waller is an aggressive move, but should he potentially drop someone on his bench to go and pick up one of these guys? Alfredo.
That's my response. Like, I don't really have much analysis here. I know we all kind of rank Taysom Hill up higher, but I'd feel very weird about having to actually start him at tight end. Tyler Higbee wasn't bad. That Rams offense is another one that's just kind of like just been lit on fire and slowly burning down as the season goes.
Yeah.
Darren Waller's injury is tough. I don't know that I would be dropping Waller for one of these guys, but if you could drop some at the bottom of your bench for like a Higbee, then yeah, why not?
Kevin.
No, I mean, I think Hill's interesting just because of Thomas injury, right? Like, where they're going to use him now, and like they have been, and he got 10 carries last game. I mean, that's, he had 61 yards. Like, he's kind of a cheat there. I wouldn't drop Waller. As much as Waller has absolutely screwed me this year, I wouldn't drop him because you never know towards the end of the season if you need him there. But I do think Hill is an interesting one. Higbee, he's okay. Like, both of these guys are okay. If there's someone that you can drop, I would probably lean Hill just because of the injury, and I think they can use him more. And they love them some Taysom Hill. Like, down the stretch, they're just going to get him touchdowns. And he has a solid matchup this week against Baltimore. Like, I really like that matchup for him.
Josh.
If you are absolutely desperate, I have zero issue with dropping Waller. He's averaging less than 5 targets a game. Like, there really isn't the kind of upside with Waller this year that I think a lot of us thought. And that really just boils down to hamstring issues. And we're talking about a guy that's older, a la Keenan Allen. They're not healing the way that they used to when they were younger. I'm fine with Higbee. He's seeing the targets. He's, getting the production. Ryan talks about this all the time on his Stream of the Week article. Like, he'll never put Taysom Hill as his top guy, but we've seen Taysom Hill ceiling. And he is an absolute cheat code at tight end. I think Higbee's a lot more consistent, but there's definitely like, you're chasing points and you have that opportunity with Hill, but zero. I mean, I would much rather drop somebody on the bench first and hang on to Waller, stash him on IR if need be, but Higbee and then Hill, but I'm perfectly fine dropping Waller if you need to.
I refuse to ever play Taysom Hill. That is just my personal belief, and I don't hate Tyler Higbee. Is Cooper Kupp, like is he officially playing? I know he got injured.
I think they said he's playing. Yeah.
Okay.
Playing. Yep.
If the injury flares up by chance, Higbee legitimately might be the first guy Matt Stafford looks at down the field. So there's that. I like Higbee. I think Antoine Winfield is out this week, which really helps for Higbee against Tampa Bay. So, I mean, I'd rather play Higbee over Waller this week. I'd probably rank him Higbee, Hill, Waller. I don't know what the hell's up with Vegas. That last week was absolutely atrocious. And they're staying, well, they were on the East Coast, but they're going even further to the East Coast to play Jacksonville, who has looked okay this year. Like, they haven't looked great.
They just can't close games.
Yeah.
I think it's the third, what is it, like second and fourth quarter? They're like dead last in scoring. It's ridiculous.
It's just very strange how they look really good and then they look like shit. But their defense at home has played. I mean, they blanked the Colts, which again, I don't think that's too hard to do at this point, but they still blanked an NFL offense with Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, a former Super Bowl playing quarterback, and Matt Ryan. Like, they blanked that offense. That's pretty.
I love how you phrase that, Super Bowl playing quarterback.
Yeah, because Matt Ryan sucks. Speaking of a former Colt, I feel like this one's going to be a clean sweep just because he's on a new team this week. But let's see. Tyler Algier or Nyheim Hines in a PPR. Alfredo.
Oh, man. Yeah, let's stick with Tyler Algier. I mean, a lot of what Kevin said last time is, matchup dependent this week. And especially we haven't really seen a running back that takes on this massive role switching over to a new team. So, yeah, I know that Hines will have a role eventually. But for this week, let's go Algier.
Kevin?
Yeah, no, I don't know what Hines' role is going to be in terms of fantasy. I think it's a good football move for them. I don't know. What is the Bills like? Why do they keep trading for or drafting these guys that they don't use? Like, they don't use guys like this, like in their offense. They just push the ball down the field. And I thought Singletary's been playing very well. But I'm going to go Algier just volume. I mean, volume's going to be there this week. I don't get too cute in terms of some of these things, especially with Algier's matchup.
Josh?
Yeah, I have to start Hines in one league because I'm just decimated between injuries and bye weeks. But yeah, for me, it's Algier. I mean, Kevin, to your point, this is a football move, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You put somebody on that offense that can draw defensive coverage. All that's going to do is open things up for Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. Like, we know the type of weapon that Hines is. They can play him as a running back. They can move him to the slot, out wide as a wide receiver, and he's very effective doing all of those things. But I don't think, like, they'll probably have some packages lined up for him this week, but it's not really anything that is going to light the world on fire for fantasy.
Scampers. I'm also Algier. Scampers have PPR, Thielen or Eno against the Seahawks. Alfredo.
So this is a tough one because so much of it is going to depend on James Conner. Maybe I've missed the update, but I don't know if it's official whether he's in or out this week. If Connor's in, I think it becomes really easy to lean towards Thielen. And if he's out, Seattle has kind of been like that nice little jump start for offenses when they need someone, because Seattle's been able to score enough points and their defense still hasn't really been that good. So I might lean Eno just because Thielen's been a little bit more touchdown or bust. And I was really in on Thielen last week, and he kind of didn't give us exactly what we needed, but I've got Thielen right there on the fringe as a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 this week. If Connor's still out, Eno remains a running back 2, and you kind of have to play him.
James Conner currently, they're saying he's probably a game time decision, so we probably won't know.
That simplifies things.
Yeah, we probably won't know until literally kickoff. So, Kevin.
Yeah, I hate that stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna go Thielen. I think that it's close. Like in half PPR, I'm just going to lean there just because I like their matchup. And I think that he can get in an end zone. We know that with Thielen. I don't know if Connor comes, he plays, maybe they split the load, whatever. Right now, not knowing if he's going to be out or not, I still think I lean Thielen there.
Josh.
Same. I'm going to go Thielen. And keep in mind, too, if Connor is a game time decision, Seattle plays at 4, Washington and Minnesota play at 1.
Of course. That's how it always works.
Yep.
Scampers. I'm sorry. I'm going Eno Benjamin because James Conner's injury is a rib injury. He's going to get popped by Quandre Diggs, Ryan Neal, Jordan Brooks. Doesn't matter who it is. He's going to get popped once right in the stomach, and then he's going to be out for the rest of the game. Sorry. This is it. Everyone was super high. James Conner, oh, great year last year. No. Cliff Kingsbury rotates running backs every 18 months. This is Eno Benjamin's 18 months, folks. Keontae Ingram's is going to come next year. He'll start like week 9 next year. That's when Keontae Ingram's going to start rolling in. Eno has a very good matchup. I don't give 2 shits if James Conner plays because he's going to be absolutely irrelevant in the offense. I like Eno Benjamin for a touchdown this week. Yes, I love also how he worded it at Washington football team. Bravo. That was fantastic. Their secondary's trash. But I do like Eno Benjamin more. So, sorry,
You've
Scampers.
just been waiting 3 years for this to pay off, Joe. That's why you keep suggesting Eno.
2. They drafted him. They drafted him with Chase Edmonds.
2.5 years. Fine, whatever.
Yeah, 2.5 years. Drafted him with Chase Edmonds. All of last year was James Conner's year. Yeah. Now it's Eno Benjamin. Tell me my logic is incorrect. Tell me my logic is wrong. And another Eno question, start Foreman or Eno Benjamin in a PPR this week, and Carolina plays in Cincinnati. Alfredo.
Yeah, that one's a lot easier for me. That's Foreman. I keep wanting to be like, oh, you temper your expectations on Deontay Foreman. Like, no, I think it's finally okay for us to be like, yeah, he's just good. Performing. Yeah, like he's just performing like regardless of what's going on. I think that 99% of the fantasy industry was like, let's relax about Deontay Foreman, and he's shut us all up. And like, who knew? Like it took the Panthers trading away their best players to actually start winning games and to be able to run the football well. Like it's just weird, but yeah, Deontay Foreman over Eno. Even if Connor is out, I'm going Foreman.
Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a running back 1 or low end running back 1 the last 3 weeks, and just what he's been able to do the last 2 weeks, like, I mean, it's been phenomenal. I don't see like Foreman's kind of he's been running back 14 this week, and Eno's not even close to that. So this is where you're gonna roll with Foreman, get that volume. I mean, he had 26 attempts last week. They kind of show what they're gonna do at red zone, 3 touchdowns. Like, I mean, I don't know. This isn't a competition for me.
Josh.
Yeah, this is a clean sweep for me. Give me all the Deontay Foreman. And if for anybody that needs advice on running backs dealing with Achilles injuries, this is Project X right here. Deontay Foreman, 2,000 yards at Texas, blows out the Achilles. What is it, 5-6 years later? Now he's finally getting back up to speed. Let's pump the brakes on James Robinson, Marlon Mack, all those guys. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
And Cam Akers, you can throw him into that too.
Deontay Foreman looks pretty good to say the least. Yeah, he's and when he came into the league before he tore that Achilles in like week 8 or 9, I mean, people were saying like this is the running back for the Texans for the next 6, 7, 8 years. Foreman's good, and you don't know what Cincinnati team is going to show up on Sunday is the issue. It's either the gunslinging team that's going to drop 40 or the team that's going to allow Joe Burrow to get sacked 17 times that has a non-existent secondary and no run defense. You're hoping the latter, in this case, starting Deontay Foreman, but it is not close. You are going with Foreman.
Well, without a Awuzie in the secondary, that's going to open things up for DJ Moore. And who is it? Yes. DJ Reader, the defensive tackle that since he lost?
Yeah,
like,
he's
they haven't been able to play good run defense without him. So, I mean, even with the good defensive ends that they have, Foreman's going to be fine. I'm not worried about him.
Yeah, they don't have any push in between the guards. I mean, Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson are fantastic. Hubbard's a great run defender. Hendrickson's more known for his pass rushing ability. Logan Wilson's had a tough time in the middle this year. He's been good, but he's more known for his pass defense as well. Karen says he's not looking to trade Justin Jefferson, but he was offered DK Metcalf, Alec Pierce, a 2024 first, a late second in 2023, and Greg Dulcich. PPR. Right? No?
Nope. I mean, it's enticing. Like you take a moment to think about it, right? Like, what could I do with all these pieces? But at the end of the day, you're hoping that some of these pieces can turn into what Justin Jefferson is. It's kind of like, take the points, man. Like, take what you already have. Justin Jefferson is what, a top 3 dynasty asset, regardless of format. Like, yeah. Maybe not regardless of format, but Justin Jefferson is just like, that's the guy you're hoping to get with any of these picks. So I'm sticking with JJ.
Kevin.
There's only 2 guys if you replace DK with, I would think about it, and that's Jalen Waddle, in my opinion, based on dynasty and where it's at, based on that offense, and CeeDee Lamb, because I'm a unbiased Cowboy fan. But I think those 2 guys with that, I think the volume and everything, the target's going to be there. But even then, I'm still sticking with JJ. JJ is not someone you move unless you get a Godfather offer of someone like Waddle plus a couple first. Like, if I'm moving JJ, I don't care what it is. I'm getting a couple first. Plus an asset that's a little less risky than DK based on injury. I don't know what that offense is going to look like. Gino, what is that going to be? Like, I need more stability at a trade like that.
Josh.
If this was the first offer, kudos to that manager, because you don't usually get really good first offers that actually make you think, because it definitely made me think, because DK is good. Alec Pierce, we've seen some flashes there. If that second was like a early first in 2023, coupled with the 24 and Dulcich, you've got my attention. But I would decline, maybe counter. I don't know what their draft pick situation is, or, like Kevin said, maybe a piece like a Waddle, Lamb. I think I would still side with DK over Lamb, but that's me personally. But Dulcich looks like he's the real deal there, and he's showing some flashes. I think you could reasonably put him in the top 10 in dynasty tight ends right now. And that does still have some value.
Don't trade Justin Jefferson. Unless you are literally, as the aforementioned hauls, this is a solid one, but yeah, you need at least 2 first. If there's a 2023 first in there, we all feel that this class is going to be pretty damn good across the board from running backs and receivers, and even a couple quarterbacks maybe thrown in there too. But yeah, late second doesn't really swing the needle there. Blurpy's back with a tight end question. He has Taysom Hill, Waller, Likely, and Evan Ingram. If Mark Andrews doesn't play, he'll play Likely. We might not know until Monday, so that is the kiss of death right there. If he doesn't find out until Monday, he said he can always throw in Hill, so he does have the insurance policy there. Or does he play Evan Ingram on Sunday? So essentially, this is, do you play Isaiah Likely if Andrews is out, Taysom Hill, or Evan Ingram? Alfredo.
I mean, I kind of like both of those other options of Taysom Hill and Evan Ingram over Isaiah Likely, even if Mark Andrews is out, simply because the Saints have been good against tight end, and there's just still so much unknown with what that offense is going to do. So I'd rather take the up and down boom bust of Taysom Hill, and Evan Ingram's actually been really good over the last 4 weeks. Like, I think he's been locked and loaded as like a top 10 tight end over the last 4 weeks. And that's just really hard to find at this position, is that kind of consistency. So I think it depends on your matchup. If you need the points and you're like, listen, I'm going up against someone who's projected to beat me by like 30 points and you need some sort of crazy boom, it's Taysom Hill. If you need the consistency of, I just need 10 points from my tight end, go with Evan Ingram in this. But I think both of those guys over Isaiah Likely pretty easily for me.
Kevin.
Yeah, you're looking at the numbers, and Alfredo's pretty close. It's like he does this. That's good. Evan Ingram's been tied in 5 for the last 4 weeks, but he's averaging about 12 points. That's usually that's what we get after the top 2. It doesn't really matter after that. And then Taysom Hill, though, is tied in 3. He's averaging 14.3. And so, like he said, I would wait, see if Andrew doesn't play, and I'm leaning Hill because I think that's the boomer bust. You can go get those points. Like, Ingram could get you 10, like you talked about, but I think Hill. I'm a ceiling guy. I'll just go for the ceiling at that position. Because realistically, like, you're not necessarily losing your matchup there, but you can win it, and you can win it with a Hill like 2 touchdown game, and that's kind of how I lean when I look at these start sits.
Josh.
Yeah, I mean, with Hill and Likely both going Monday, I think you can wait. I know statistically speaking, the Raiders give up a lot of points to tight ends, but that's 4 touchdowns from Travis Kelce. Those are very skewed metrics. Raiders have actually been pretty decent against tight ends. So as good as Ingram's been, I'm not expecting anything like crazy out of him. I think you can play it safe with Likely, or follow the boom narrative with Taysom Hill, which I would be perfectly fine with, because the Ravens defense really isn't all that.
Pick and choose between the Monday night guys.
Yeah.
If Andrews doesn't play, Likely. If Andrews plays, Hill. I think that's how you roll there. From Ray, there's a lot here from Ray, so just want to make sure I unpack everything. I think this is question 1. I need help with my wide receiver 2, running back 2, flex, and kicker position. If Cordell Patterson plays, I will put him in the flex. If not, then start 2 wide receivers. So this is standard scoring. We have to start 2 wide receivers. Rondale Moore against the Seahawks, Duvernay against the Saints, Palmer against the Falcons. Alfredo, need 2 of them.
Well, I really like Josh Palmer this week for obvious reasons. There's basically no Chargers pass catchers available except for Gerald Everett, and the Falcons are absolutely atrocious against wide receivers. So I think that becomes an easy start. And then it kind of comes down to Rondale and Duvernay. They're not that far for me in the rankings, but I think that I would lean Rondale here just because that Baltimore Ravens offense makes me nervous. I just don't know what to expect going into this week, and I don't like leaning into that. And Duvernay's kind of cooled down from the beginning of the year. Rondale Moore starting to go on his way up. So if I have to pick 2 of these, it's going to be Josh Palmer, Rondale Moore.
Kevin.
Yeah, we're gonna split a little bit on this one. I Palmer for sure, because based on those guys, hopefully Palmer does something. Just based on what's out there, I think you have to go there. I'm gonna go Duvernay. I think against the Saints, I get it. But again, target wise, I think that he could lead the team maybe in targets. So for me, looking at this between Moore and Duvernay is more of a safe play, but I do think that he can actually go out there and lead the team in targets and get that touchdown. And I kind of like Duvernay just in terms of I've been doing a Baltimore team report for Football Guys all year. And they love him. They love that he gets involved. All the coaches talk about it. So this could be a chance for him to kind of step up.
Josh.
Because it's standard, I think I'm going to lean Duvernay and Palmer here. Seattle gives up about 12.5 points a game to slot wide receivers. So there's still some opportunity there with Rondale. But, Duvernay is essentially their wide receiver 1 at this point. Taking the tight ends out of the equation. So they're going to move him around. They'll get him on some jet sweeps, and they'll use him probably more so as a second pass catcher to whomever starts at tight end. But, outside of Lattimore, their secondary is not great. And even Lattimore has lapses in judgment most weeks. So, yeah, give me Duvernay and Palmer.
You're telling me Paulson Adebo is not the guy everyone thinks he is? The Paulson Adebo? Yeah, Duvernay, Palmer's the auto start. Palmer's the auto start. In Duvernay, I'm sitting Rondale Moore in a PPR this week. I have other options, but I'm sitting Rondale Moore in a PPR.
Wait, you have other options in week 9? Fuck you, Joe.
Who do I have? Hold on. Let me check. Let me just make sure here. I have in my flexes, I have Amon-Ra, Khalil Herbert, and DeAndre Carter if he fucking plays. So I have the wide receiver 2 on the Chargers. If DeAndre Carter does not play, then it's Rondale Moore, unless I want to get really ballsy and put in Deshaun Jackson. So we'll see. My team's 2-6, so at this point it doesn't fucking matter.
You need the home runs.
Yeah, I need home runs. So, and then anybody kicker question? Anybody have odds on a kicker question today?
I can pull up Linda's rankings.
So here, I'll give a little story. Also, shout out Ray. He said he did sub. Appreciate you, Ray.
Appreciate you.
So Harrison Butker against the Titans at home on Sunday Night Football, or Daniel Carlson on the road against the Jaguars. I think this is weirdly a fair question. So let me tell you. I'm going to tell you a quick story, Ray. Thanks for subbing. Here's a quick story for you. I lost by 10 points last week and was the second highest scoring team in the league. Happens. My kicker was Daniel Carlson. As we all know, the Raiders scored 0 points. In the post-game recap written by CBS Sports that was sent directly to my email on Tuesday afternoon, It said the main culprit of Coach Joe Zollo's loss can be blamed on Daniel Carlson, who put up 0 points and was projected the most amount of points of kickers this week, according to our rankings. So that's my story on Daniel Carlson, and I'll still play Daniel Carlson. Butker has not looked good the past few seasons. He's more consistent than the average kicker, but he has missed some easy kicks where before he was almost automatic inside 55. You just knew anytime he was showing up. I think Carlson has a better chance of his offense getting stopped inside the 35 than the Chiefs do getting stopped inside 35. So you're getting like automatic 1 points from Butker. I think Carlson can get you probably 8 or 10 this week. Alfredo, Kevin, I don't know if you guys want to weigh in on kickers at all, but Josh never does. So please, if you would like to, go ahead.
Yeah, Daniel Carlson, he's had 10 or more fantasy points in 5 of his last 6 matchups. I mean, this goose egg is kind of random for him. Like, I believe he was the number 1 kicker last year. And it's weird to do this much kicker analysis, but like Harrison Butker has really not regained that like kicker 1 overall status that he had a couple of years ago. And I think a lot of that has to do with just the kind of what you said, Joe, is that the Raiders are really good at getting near the goal line, but are getting it near the red zone, but not actually scoring. Whereas the Chiefs are your classic home run or strikeout type offense. They're either going to end their drive in about 3 plays because they did a bunch of wacky, zany stuff, or they're just going to score a touchdown because Patrick Mahomes is a god. So I just find Daniel Carlson to have a lot more opportunities for those field goals. And like you said, he's been more consistent. So Carlson.
Kevin.
Yeah, I cheated. So I went to Football Guys' rankings. Right now, they have in-season rankings right now. I don't play in any leagues that have a kicker. So I just let you all know that.
Good man.
I don't have one of those. Don't tell Linda. She'll get all pissy. But Daniel Carlson. I'm going to go Daniel Carlson because he's ranked the highest on Football Guys' rankings.
Yes, my analysis worked with Football Guys rankings. We love that. Now, from the kicker to the defense, folks, George Cook is asking Vikings or Cardinals this week. So which of these 2 shitty defenses do you want, Alfredo?
Oh boy. Okay. So this is one of those, when it comes to like defenses and kickers, I always have to go back to my rankings because I have too many names and numbers floating around in the head. So I'm actually going with Minnesota. They've started to trend upwards the last couple of weeks, and they actually look pretty good against Arizona. Not necessarily that they're stopping a whole lot of points, but they're doing the things that matter for fantasy defenses, which is, causing turnovers, getting sacks. So I've actually got Minnesota in the top 10 this week, whereas Arizona, right? That's who it was, Cardinals? Yeah. Arizona, I've got them at DST number 12. So, I mean, they're both startable, but Minnesota, I think, has that higher upside going against Washington and Taylor Heinecke.
Kevin?
Yeah, that's where I lean. I just with the Taylor Heinecke matchup, I think that offense is they could get pick 6. Like, there's things that can happen that Vikings defense that can kind of get them fantasy points.
Josh?
Yeah, Taylor Heinecke, he has turnover proneness. I'm just going to throw random words out here. Geno Smith is not really turning the football over, and you want a defense that can cause turnovers, and Heinecke is a recipe for that. So give me the Vikings.
I normally compare between like sacks, turnover upside. I don't see any legitimate upside with the Cardinals. Like, I don't think they're going to be able to slow down Seattle. I don't think they're going to hold them to yardage. I don't think they're going to hold them to a small score. I think the Vikings can keep Washington within 20 points, garner 5 sacks and 1 to 2 turnovers, fumble and or interception. So, I mean, Zadarius Smith has been absolutely lights out so far. And if he can continue what he started last week, he's just going to have another fantastic day as a personal player, which then will obviously help the Vikings. So Vikings defense. Scampers, Alec Pierce or Dion Jackson in a half PPR. Which Indianapolis Colt are you trusting this week? Alfredo.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep making this face because I'm not like overly enthused about these guys. I know Alec Pierce was starting to catch fire, but I mean, Sam Ehlinger just gosh, he just throws a wrench right into the middle of this offense. And we've talked about a lot of these offenses where you don't know what to expect. Like, you really don't know what to expect. And I so much of me wants to just say, like, yeah, go start Dion Jackson. But so much of his value came from catching passes. Sam Ehlinger is not Matt Ryan. He's not going to be dumping off like that. But I don't even know how much he's actually going to be throwing the ball downfield to Alec Pierce. Like, I kind of hate it. And I'm hoping that maybe Dion Jackson can score on the ground. Where I think that's a little bit more likely that he can break one off for a long run over Alec Pierce actually catching a touchdown from Sam Ehlinger. So, yeah, it just comes down to kind of the touchdown potential here, especially in half PPR. So I'll lean Dion Jackson.
Kevin.
Yeah, Alec Pierce, he did have a 60% target share, or 60% of his target share last week came in deep targets, and Patriots actually ranked 5th in DVOA against deep passing. So I don't know, like, I don't really like the matchup very much. And Dion right there, I mean, he's running back probably 17, 18 for me around there right now, just based on volume if he scores a touchdown. So that's where I would lean, just because I hate the matchup for Pierce in that secondary. And I love just, hey, volume. Dion Jackson can do it. Half PPR, he is going to get targeted at some point. So I do think he has a higher floor.
Gosh.
So Jonathan Taylor's out. They traded Nyheim Hines. Zach Moss is now on a short week. And the Colts just elevated Phillip Lindsay and Jordan Wilkins to play behind Dion Jackson. You're telling me he's not going to see almost 80% of the work, whether it's rushing or receiving? Yeah, give me all the Dion Jackson this week.
Yeah, I'm in on Dion Jackson too. Just feels safer. Alec Pierce started looking solid with Matt Ryan's last couple weeks as a starting quarterback for the Colts. You don't know. And we've already seen Dion Jackson has looked good in that offense, and a quarterback change isn't really going to do much for that. If anything, it's probably going to make Indianapolis more inclined to run the football because it's a new quarterback. I'm an idiot. They're playing the Patriots this week, right? I don't even know who my own team is playing. Yes. Right?
Jets.
No, they're playing the Pats. Yep. Okay, just checking. Yeah. I don't love the matchup. But if they ever want to dump the ball off to Dion Jackson, it is an instant 8+ yards down the field. There is not a single linebacker in the Patriots defense that can cover Dion Jackson or can cover any running back for that matter. So, love Dion Jackson. All right. We're coming up on time here. We're going to fly through some of these last ones. I already got that one. All right, here we go. Jordan, trade Chubb for Pittman and Godwin. He has Eckler and Aaron Jones at running back, so Chubb essentially irrelevant. He has Keenan Allen at Diggs in receiver. Obviously, Keenan Allen is not playing and very well might not play the rest of the season with how everything's trending so far. He's desperate for a receiver this week. I don't know if Pittman and Godwin are the answers this week or even the rest of the season. That does not feel good enough for Nick Chubb, and I see aggressive east to west shakes of the heads. Kevin, you are stoic like a statue over there. What are your thoughts?
The only hesitation I have is that I really like Godwin's end of the season run. Like when I did a football guys buy for Dynasty, and so I just dived into his end of the season stuff. So the only thing is I do like Godwin into the season, but that is not enough for Chubb. Not what Chubb's doing. Like if you're going to trade Chubb, you need to go get a better asset than those two guys, because there's too many question marks with that. I don't know what pivots quarterback. I did that offense for me. The quarterback situation's there. Godwin, there's question marks. He just hasn't got targeted in the red zone this year. That's not something that you like to see. So like for me, if I'm trading Chubb, I want a more dynamic piece on that end, and I don't want those two guys with the question marks. If it was someone else, maybe. But Chubb's been fantastic. Chubb's a league winner. Like, I get that you need a wide receiver, but go try to maybe get rid of Eckler and Jones for those guys and keep Chubb.
Yeah, try to get someone like an A.J. Brown. That's
go get
the
a
type
dude.
of wide receiver.
Get a dude.
Yeah.
Alfredo?
Yeah, I'm just very vehemently against trading players away to try to win 1 week and fill a spot when you can just simply try to go to waivers. I'm with
pick up Demir Bird, right, Joe?
No, God, for God's sake,
you are making fun of me. 100%. Demir Bird is 50 yards and at least 50 yards and a touchdown this week. That's not even a question. It's not even a question. Do you know how bad the Chargers secondary is? They benched their $81 million cornerback. That's how fucking bad they are. Alfredo, sorry, continue.
Sorry, that was a lot of energy coming this direction.
Yes, Demir Bird. Oh, for the boy.
hype Demir Bird talk in the final hour here. But yeah, listen, I'm actually with Kevin on Chris Godwin. Like, I do think that he's a great buy candidate to go through the season, and maybe you just kind of like pick someone up to let you to fill out your starting lineup this week. And I would consider trading Aaron Jones for Chris Godwin the following week, but to trade away Chubb for two kind of, wide receiver twos, and like Kevin said, Chubb is a league winner, I'm not doing that.
I'm not trading Chubb. I was trying to get Chubb for this, for a really bad deal for the other person. It was like Brandon Cooks, Deontay Johnson, and James Robinson for Chubb. And he was this close to accepting it. I tried, didn't get it. Yeah, do not give up Nick Chubb for that. What a group. Oh, thanks, Ryan.
Oh, easy.
Yeah, I know. IDP guys here. You start Patrick Queen with Roquan Smith in town, or go with Nick Bolton or Tremaine Edmonds. Josh knows nothing. I don't know if
I don't even know who these players are.
Kevin also seems to not know.
Alfredo, you do IDP?
Okay, so this
you just got to peek behind the curtain. I've never played IDP.
Okay, Ryan, I got you. As you know, I own 1/14 of your Fantasy and Frames championship for telling you to pick up Cameron Curl and Foyce Adeluakun. So 2 years ago. So I'm okay with Queen this week in general, but Nick Bolton is the way better start. You know how much Tennessee is going to be running the football. You know Nick Bolton plays middle linebacker on that defense.
I did not know that, but thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys, Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith are Baltimore Ravens middle linebackers. Roquan Smith was just traded to the Baltimore Ravens. Nick Bolton is the middle linebacker for the Kansas City Chiefs, and Tremaine Edmonds is the middle linebacker for the Buffalo Bills. Tremaine Edmonds has a fantastic matchup.
They sometimes cover tight ends. That's what I know.
Yes, they sometimes cover tight ends. Yeah. Nick Bolton is the auto start here. He, especially tackle heavy, he will have a fantastic week this week. Just, they're going to load the box, and Nick Bolton's going to be the focal point for that. The Yash, back to the offensive side, guys. Don't worry.
Oh, thank God. You scared me there for a little bit.
I was sweating.
I think Ryan's asked 3 IDP questions all year on this show.
He does it literally for responses like that.
Yeah, and none of the guests don't play IDP, which is totally fine. It's totally fine. I answer it. Was totally fine. Swift, Foreman, or Dion Jackson as flex. Half PPR, he has Garrett Wilson, Dubs, and Myers on his bench as well. So, I mean, yeah, the top 3. I feel like Myers should also be in this conversation a little bit. I know Indy's been solid against, especially slot receivers, because of Kenny Moore. But, Alfredo, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think you can have Myers in that conversation, but to me, he's just so much more of a PPR value, and the Patriots are another offense that I simply just don't like. Sorry.
Facts. Nope, facts. You are correct. You are correct. I don't like them either.
It's and it's weird to say this because I am a big advocate of trading for DeAndre Swift going forward, but I think that's more about his future potential, whereas I think Deontay Foreman, oddly enough, has become the safest out of these 3 running backs that we're talking about here. So I have Deontay Foreman ranked a little bit higher than DeAndre Swift this week, and I'm going to stay with Deontay Foreman.
Kevin?
That's not a statement I thought I was going to hear at the beginning of the year. I'm going to go Foreman and Swift for me are 15-14, and I'm going to say Swift. If Swift's starting, I'm going to put him in my lineup. And that's just kind of how I roll with Swift, because I think that there's so much of an upside there. But I would not fault you for putting Foreman in there. To me, it's between Swift and Foreman. I'm going to lean Swift just because I do think that he can be a running back 1 type. Hey, like he definitely get that volume, but we haven't seen it. So I understand Foreman's more of the safe play. But I'm going to put Swift just based on my opinion of Swift. So it's definitely biased. So if you don't trust me, don't worry. Don't start Foreman. But I do think Swift has that upside pass catching. Like, he's the type of guy. There's a reason why he is a running back 1 in the league when the Lions decide he should be.
Josh?
With half PPR, I tend to lean more towards standard. I want the guy that's scoring touchdowns, and right now Swift is yielding that work to Jamal Williams. Give me Deontay Foreman.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm good with Foreman. I like Swift too. I'm starting Swift and Jamal Williams on the same team this week. and I feel good about it. I hate it, but I feel good about it at the same time. Deontay Foreman, I mean, hey, he's averaged 118 rushing yards over the last 2 weeks, and he had 118 last week. So that tells you he's just going to hit 118 again this week. It's trending.
Science.
It's literally, it's science. I mean, he has little to no receiving upside. He has 2 catches on the year, and they came 2 weeks ago against Tampa Bay. Granted, McCaffrey was the one catching the passes, but even last week, he didn't have a catch. So you don't really have to worry.
He scored 3 touchdowns.
He scored 3 touchdowns. Exactly. You know what? No one needed to catch. So I will go with Foreman as well. I love Swift. I like Myers this week. I don't love him. And I don't know, man. I think Romeo Doubs has top 20 in him. It's Detroit. I think Doubs has top 20 in him. I'm not starting him over Foreman if we're putting flexes in play, but I think Doubs has some pretty good upside this week. Czar, bench 1. Olave, Gabe Davis, Tyler Boyd, Michael Pittman, Alfredo.
I hate to say it, but Pittman, just don't trust Sam Ehlinger in that offense, and Tyler Boyd gets to fill in, admirably for Jamar Chase. Gabe Davis has week winning upside every week. He's either going to give you 6 points or 36 points. So you have to start him. And then Chris Olave, we just talked about him being a kind of a top 15 guy every week. So yeah, Pittman for me is actually the guy that I believe is outside of my top 24 this week, because I just don't have a lot of faith in that passing attack.
Kevin.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Gabe. Actually, I'm gonna say Gabe here, and I'm gonna get yelled at by Alfredo. He's outside my top 24 in my opinion. I think Pittman is still there just based on talent alone and the targets. I still think that he can do this just because I think they are moving Pierce kind of more to the outside. So we've seen Pittman kind of using the slot, and we're gonna see him go over the middle. I think he can get the targets there. I'm not a Gabe Davis guy. He's looked good. He has those boom games, and we've seen that. But I'm gonna sit him against the Jets.
Josh.
I'm sitting Pittman. I agree with everything that Kevin said, and I agree with everything that Alfredo said. Davis is the ultimate boomer bust, and you hate putting him in the lineup, but with Boyd's upside and Olave's built-in floor and upside, I think you can survive a bust week from Gabe Davis when I had firmly believed that Michael Pittman will bust this week.
So Belichick does pretty well against rookie quarterbacks. Yes, Ehlinger's not a rookie, but it's his second NFL. Yeah, it's his second NFL start in Foxborough in November. I don't think Ehlinger's going to have too solid of a day, which then translates to Pittman. If I had to guess going into this game, they are going to play a heavy amount of man coverage. Belichick's not going to allow a young, again, rookie, not really, second-year quarterback in his second start to sit back and potentially pick apart his zone. I think Belichick's going to get up in their face and play man-to-man. And if he sees Jack Jones or if he sees Jonathan Jones, Pittman is not getting open. I hate to say it. I love Jack Jones, and I think Jonathan Jones has stepped up this year. I don't think Pittman's getting open. I fucking hate Gabe Davis. God, do I hate Gabe Davis. With a burning passion, do I hate ever playing Gabe Davis in a lineup. He could have 3 catches for 7 yards or 3 catches for 330 yards. And there's no in between. So Gabe Davis over Pittman. I think everyone there has higher touchdown upside. Obviously, Olave and Boyd look fantastic. And James Robinson has officially been downgraded to questionable for Sunday's game. So for all your J-Rob questions, Tyler Algier, because I think that was mostly all the questions. James Robinson, money you probably weren't playing him, but again, with bye weeks, James Robinson, if he's now downgraded to questionable today, that's not looking good for him to play tomorrow. And last question here. This is a PPR, Antonio says. I feel like this is an all-around yes, but I could be wrong. Would you do A.J. Brown and DeAndre Swift and get Christian McCaffrey and Jacoby Myers? Alfredo.
It makes me pause a little more than I thought I would, but I think sorry to do this to you, Josh, but I think you're selling high on AJ Brown because I think a lot of people are still riding that high off of the 3 touchdown game. And I'm a big believer in buying Swift right now, but man, Christian McCaffrey, like this is the guy that I think that I'm shocked that someone's even willing to trade him to you because of how he just hit the hat trick of throwing, catching, and running a touchdown. Like, this is crazy. The guy can do it all, and they're really putting him at the forefront of that offense. And Jakobi Meyers just kind of gives you a solid wide receiver presence. Whereas I think AJ Brown might be I don't want to say up and down, but slightly more up and down. And Swift, I can't remember who said it earlier. It might have been Kevin, but it's about like, we don't know how the Detroit Lions coaching staff is going to use Swift going forward and how much that injury could affect it. So, yeah, I'd rather take CMC and Jakobi Meyers here. It's weird to say, but yeah, I'd go CMC and Meyers.
I think, and also like projecting forward, the Lions might be out of it very soon. Well, I mean, they're out of it already, but when are they going to shut down Swift? Like, when are they going to shut down Swift again and say, all right, so like for me, we know the 49ers are going to be in this damn thing down the stretch. They're going to use CMC. His volume, guys, and his usage is just going to go through the roof because they need him. They need him there, especially with Debo's injury. I'd take the swing for the fence, go CMC. And then Jacoby's great. Like, he's a good, nice piece. Like, he'll be fine. But CMC could equal A.J. Brown and Swift's production.
Josh?
Yeah, I'm all about going to get A.J. Brown, and if you have him, hang on to him. But when you have the chance to get arguably the best running back in fantasy football right now, you do it. Go get CMC.
That ain't even to me. It's not even close. I think it's Christian McCaffrey far outweighs DeAndre Swift, sadly. And
well, think about it too. I mean, look how consistent Myers has been and how inconsistent Swift has been.
Dude, yes. God, I absolutely love Jakobi Meyers. That is
he's one of
my
hands down was the most valuable mid-round draft pick in all of drafts this year. Dynasty startups and redraft. People continually faded that guy, and it baffled me.
My heart. Jakobi Meyers, the only good receiver on the New England Patriots. My heart, Jakobi. Yeah, I would do it. Easy. I have CMC and Swift on the same team, so and Jakobi Meyers on the same team, so that's great. 3 and 5, still don't fucking understand how fantasy football works.
So go get AJ Brown.
Hate my life. Absolutely hate my life. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Christian McCaffrey, DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams, and did I say Amon-Ra? And DJ Moore. Yeah. Fuck my life. Second most points last week, still lose. I hate my life. Okay, one more that just came in real quick. J-Dog Agta. Start Swift, Gibson. Yeah, nailed it. Start Swift, Gibson, Dion Jackson, I imagine, or Taysom Hill. Need one for flex and a full PPR. Quick, Alfredo.
I hate this, and I don't understand the question, so I won't answer it. I don't. God, I really don't know. This is a tough. I guess rankings. If I have to go off that, Swift is highest for me in rankings. That's the only way I can look at this.
Kevin,
yeah, Swift for me, please.
Josh.
Give me Antonio Gibson.
Gross.
I think people are sleeping on this guy.
Spicy.
Yeah. Give me Gibson. I mean, if you need like ultimate ceiling, then go Taysom Hill, but give me Gibson.
Swift.
They're going to be losing. They're going to be throwing. McKissick's out. That's Gibson's game, not B-Rob. So give me Gibson.
Swift. I'm okay with Gibson, but if you're between the two, it's Swift. And Swift might not even play because he's questionable. So then you just go to Antonio Gibson. But definitely DeAndre Swift. Folks, we have finished. Thank you, Alfredo and Kevin, for joining. I hope you guys had some sort of fun.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for having me.
They can find you guys in your work.
Yes, please, Alfredo.
Yeah, sure. You can find all my work over on the Football Guys YouTube channel. I've got my show, The Pretend GM. We bring out multiple episodes a week, one on Monday, one on Wednesday, talking waiver wire and trade targets. And you'll find me with Dr. Vignesh Duraswamy talking about injuries and some players you can pick up. And then I do an episode with Dave Kluge where we're talking about trade targets, people to get. And you can follow me on Twitter at The Pretend GM.
Kevin.
Yeah, you guys can find me at Football Guys article every week, and then also YouTube stuff. We have a college football show on there, and then follow the Devi Royale if you like college football. Devi, we have our Patreon, everything there. You can find me there.
Josh, no, I don't care about you. No, I say where we have all of our stuff. So for Josh at the One Hudsonian, Kevin at DuBois_22. That's with a D, folks. DuBois. Alfredo Brown at the Pretend GM. Myself at Joe_Zollo and at Bismarck Larks. Please follow us on Twitter. Thank you. You can follow Club Fantasy on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL is clubfantasyffl.com. Always remember, defense wins championships. Offense wins fantasy football. We will see you next week. Josh, hit the video. You didn't have it queued? Really, dude?